Have you ever felt like the big boys in the industry are trying to squeeze you out of your market? I've heard this from numerous self-storage owners, and I want to give them the actions they can take to not only compete, but to beat the REITs. I thought to myself, why don't I just ask some of the most brilliantly successful giants in the world of self-storage and ask them what they're doing to compete in their local markets? And so, that's exactly what I did. I sent them the following message. Let's say you wake up one day and suddenly your self-storage business is surrounded by the REITs. I know you have lots of ideas, but now you need to focus on what I call your zone of genius. What is one strategy, one action that you're passionate about? It can be related to operations, marketing, sales, or revenue. Attendees of the summit are looking for not just what you do, but also how you do it. With all of our different speakers, collectively this summit will be presenting an amazing full circle of actions to help self-storage operators not only compete in the local market, but to dominate. So, are you ready to play? And with that message, the responses from these amazing storage minds have been flooding in and will be presented to you in the free Beat the REITs virtual summit. To claim your free ticket, go to beattheREIT.com. See you there. Hi everyone. This is Jim Ross in the Self-Storage Show. Today's segment, we're going to continue our self-storage talk segments where I pull some questions off some forums I found, asked my expert, and we have a little chat about it. So today I got Daniel Higuera with me. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Hey, just we'll start off real quick if you don't mind. Just say hi and a little bit about what you do in the storage industry here.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. And thank you obviously for inviting me and, taking the time to let me speak a little bit. But what you're doing is actually in the industry, Jim, just what you're doing is awesome. So I think it's actually really cool.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Yeah. So right now I'm currently with a company called Storage Star, and I'm chief operating officer for this company. As of right now, we've got about 66 employees. We got 23 locations with 4 additional on the way.
Sweet.
Yeah, currently managing about $250 million worth of real estate, which is exciting. Just brought on a new property, and we're looking at acquiring additional facilities. So this is all kind of started over the last 17 months. So it's definitely been fast growth, and been involved in storage for just over 13 years, which is exciting in kind of all facets, from starting as a store manager, assistant manager, to store manager, district manager, to VP of operations, and now basically heading an organization, which is phenomenal.
That's awesome. I know it seems like every time I turn around, you guys are adding another property to the portfolio. So you guys are doing something right. That's awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, let's just jump right into it, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I found this one off of the ISS talk forum. So those of you that haven't gone onto that, just real quick little plug for Inside Talk. Go on there. Wealth of information, for questions and answers. And a lot of people are bouncing around in there. And frankly, I'm one that in the industry, you think I'd be on there all the time. And I didn't do it until about a few months ago. And I kind of forgot about it, quite frankly. So I went back on there, and there's a lot of good stuff. So yeah, if you're not part of ISS Talk Forum, go check it out, guys. All right. This is a fun one. I think we can have fun with this one. All right. You're ready. Okay. I'm a manager, and I have a lot of ideas to help market my facility. However, my owner only sees any kind of marketing as an expense. I've been there, done that. I know that. So,
Yeah.
So any ideas on how to better sell my owner on the idea that marketing is actually a good idea? Imagine that.
Yeah. No, I don't think I've ever dealt with that before.
I figured it'd be a good chat. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I think, from the manager lens, and obviously also the owner lens, the owner's looking at just the bottom line in a lot of cases, right? And I understand that, obviously, due to cap rates, value of facilities, so on and so forth. But, obviously the cost to acquire a customer, depending on where they're coming from. But in a lot of these facilities, sometimes we tend to, purchase them. I think there's, a lot of guerrilla marketing you can do. We still use Craigslist. We definitely get out there and pound the pavement, meet the community. And these are all just low cost items that you can do. But the reality is, depending on the market you're in, if you're in a saturated market with a lot of building going on, a lot of new development, and a lot of rent ups going on, obviously the conversation, and it's a tough one, but has to be had. And when you show the value in, even something like Google, using Google pay-per-click on how many clicks you're getting, how many acquisitions you're getting. The cost of that equates into dollars. And my thought process is, while some decide not to use a large marketing company that charges for rentals, in some cases, there definitely is a need for that. When you talk about Powerhouse in marketing and what they can do and what they bring, it's a pay-to-play model, right? So the reality is you only pay for what you're getting, the rental. And if you spread that across an average of 11 to 12 months, it's definitely worth that. And you look at your bid rates, your click rates, your cost per acquisition of a customer in these saturated markets. I mean, it's worth it. But I'm definitely a firm believer, especially in tight knit communities, where the old fashioned guerrilla marketing, doing flyers, dollar move-in special, half off for 2 months, driving traffic, and getting out there in the community. I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing a ribbon cutting if you've never done one before. There's nothing wrong with getting involved in chamber mixers, hosting them, and those are all low cost items, in my opinion, that add a lot of value. Maybe not today, but maybe in 3 months, 4 months, 5 months.
Yeah.
But as additional building comes on, you have to stay competitive with your marketing spend. And if you don't have marketing spend, in a saturated market, I got a feeling it's gonna be a difficult uphill battle that it's gonna be challenging. I mean, obviously the most important thing is measuring where your leads are coming from and what you're spending. So you're applying the right amount of capital to the right, search engine, and looking at the Yelps, the Googles, the Facebooks. I mean, posting the right things that enhance the brand is huge. And that's really, I think, a lot of it, what it really comes down to. But that conversation, it does nobody any justice not to have it. From the owner's lens, I get it, because I'm fortunate enough to have, small shares in these facilities. But the reality is, I'd rather hear it than not hear it. And
Oh, yeah.
exactly, so that's my thought process. But I still do believe you've got to do really both. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being on a bulletin board, putting up one of your flyers at Starbucks or at a coffee shop, a small coffee shop, that will just remind consumers that you're still there.
Yep.
I think in a lot of ways we lose that communication with the digital marketing, with the digital going on, right? It's still nice to see your manager. I mean, that is the person driving your facility, your revenue, your rentals, and everything, and helping build the brand. So I want my managers to be out in the community and being active.
No, that's huge. Yeah, I'd like to take a couple minutes here because I chose this question too because it's near and dear to my heart too, because I have this conversation a lot.
Yes. Yeah. No. Exactly.
With being a hired gun when it comes to third-party management, yeah, I get this a lot when it comes to owners. So I want to talk a few minutes about this. First, like he's talking about low-hanging fruit, have a
Mhm.
plan. We're going to talk to your owner about this. Have a plan of, okay, here's a little low-hanging fruit. When I say that, I mean the free things
Yeah. Yeah.
that you've maximized. Your website, which I guess you could say you pay for that, but website that's looking great. Your Google My Business listings optimized. Your community relations is on point. Those strategic alliances you're setting up with your community, all that kind of stuff to say, hey, we've put all of our effort into it. This is maximized. Cool. Now we got to talk about, like you said, got to pay to play.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
comes kind of stuff. And what I have found, just real quick, take the time before you have a meeting with an owner. Really figure out what your lifetime value of your customer is,
Mhm.
because you got to talk about the owner. They're all in this for its investment. So talk of it like that. What's your ROI going to be?
Yep.
And when you can figure out that lifetime value of a customer, and again, for those of you that may not know, we're just talking in broad terms, what's your average length of stay at your site versus what your average rental rate is. Don't overcomplicate it. Those two numbers, times them together, there's your average lifetime value.
Yep.
And you'll be blown away. I mean, you're numbers guys, you know that. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
crazy with some of these numbers that come in.
Yeah.
Some sites, the average length of stay is 15 months. Sometimes it's over 3 years, 4 or 5 years. It's crazy.
Exactly.
And when you can show an owner and be like, hey, we get one rental from this advertising source, this is what we can expect on the back end on the average lifetime customer, and kind of put it in that frame of reference, it's a much easier sell.
Well,
It really is.
take it a step further, and if the owner has 5, spaces that they use themselves, and they've had those units for 10 years, you take that money and put it into marketing, guess what? Your occupancy goes through the roof. I mean, that may not be the easiest conversation to have, but
True.
the reality is, I mean, when you look at it from that lens, something as simple, is spending $500 on some really quality photos for your website. I mean, $500, a lot of money to a property maybe only generating 30,000 a month, but it's, aside from your manager, that's pretty much the first thing people see.
Yep.
It's either going to see your facility, they're going to see your manager, and they're going to see your website, or in some kind of order in that fashion. But the reality, if any of those three, are not showing 100%, you really got to step back and say, okay, there might be some issues.
Yep, exactly. Well, good. Well, I think we touched enough on that one here. We
Yeah.
got a few minutes left. Let's
Yeah.
we're on a roll. Let's go do one more here.
You got it.
This kind of might dovetail a little bit what we talked about. So anyway, all right, here we go. Where is it at? There we go. Okay, in the past year, since I've been a manager, I've had 3 new storage competitors open up right by me. Okay, I think we can all relate to that one.
Yeah.
All right, I have an older site that is well maintained, but yeah, it's still old compared to these brand new ones that have been built. Again, I can relate to that one too. What can I do to still get rentals? So bottom line is, what old dog, everyone else going to that market, what can they do to compete? that's the bottom line.
Yeah. Well, obviously, the best managers that I have worked with, figure this type of stuff out. I mean, we've been involved in the situation numerous times. I'm sure you have as well. I mean, looking at a market, similar to, say, San Antonio, right, where you've got a lot of saturation in certain marketplaces, everyone's struggling for the same customer, a like product or below that because of the quality of facilities being built, right?
Sure.
And, it's going to be marketing, and it's going to be the manager, and what can they do? If they got the old dog, clean, safe, secure. Make sure your cameras are always working. Make sure your facility, even though the facility may be old, make sure it's always clean. Make sure it smells good when customers walk in the office. Make sure, you're marketing the property correctly. And the reality is, when we're looking at, I'll just kind of give you an example. A couple of the facilities we're in contract on currently, they are older facilities. And next to us, you've got 4 very, very large REITs.
Exactly.
Now, these REITs, they're geniuses when it comes to marketing. They've got a lot of money in spend.
Yep.
Okay. But the reality is, we offer a different product type, in my opinion, right? These are all vertical, 3 floors. We are drive up indoor, and then so most predominantly 80% is drive up, and then the remaining portion is still indoor.
Yep.
But they're all brand new, glass, shiny, new, just amazing and immaculate facilities. So strategy is to highlight what we offer, right? So we're going to be offering drive up, we're going to be offering hallway, we're going to be offering easy access.
Yep.
And most importantly, the biggest play here is how well my manager knows that product and to be able to speak, articulate, and work with the customers. Empathy goes a long way. If your phones are ringing, the customers are talking to you, if you don't close, there's a problem, right? They've called you. If they've made that effort to call you and you can't close, you need to develop a training system, and really, really hone in on that. And obviously, you've got to look at that website and what you're doing. You've got to look at offering specials. You've got to look at managing your rates. I mean, we manage rates every day, sometimes twice a day, depending on what goes on, and they change. They change on a regular basis. Sometimes go down, sometimes go up. Look at the unit size that you have a lot of. I mean, make adjustments, because bottom line is, offer specials, incrementally increase as time goes on, as those unit types fill up. But I think where it even kind of goes back to the previous question you kind of asked about the the owner and so on and so forth. The reality of this is, myself personally, owning a 15, 20, $30 million asset, I don't think it's the best to have a manager in there making a minimal wage with no opportunity for growth to expect to set the place and do a phenomenal job. It's having the right person spending a little bit more money, getting a quality person that understands, that can communicate effectively, that wants to learn, that wants to grow, that has skin in the game.
Yep.
I have found drives revenue more than anything. Without the Storage Star team that we have, we would not be able to accelerate. And I'm sure you can relate to this. We wouldn't be able to accelerate the growth we have. It just wouldn't happen. It's not me. It's not, the founders. It's the reality is it's our managers and our leaders,
Well,
So hopefully that kind of answers it.
Yeah, no, it does. When you say skin in the game, what do you mean by that as far as a manager?
Okay, so like the manager, right?
Yeah.
We offer bonus incentive programs. So the more rentals they get, the more money they make. The more they reduce, delinquency, the more money they get. And we choose at Storage Star, we choose to bonus on a monthly basis. So I'm not making somebody wait for a quarter. If you did a great job in February, I wanted to be on your first check in March.
Yeah.
And when they do that and they start seeing it, and sure, maybe some bonuses are a couple $100, and I paid them out as high as 3,000. It just depends. But I have no problem paying a good wage for somebody. But most importantly for us is all my training development managers / DMs, they've all grown from within. And when you can see that level of growth, there's a path for them, and I'm a product of it. I'm a perfect example of being able to grow throughout an organization. And, sometimes what I found recently is that sometimes it's not even the wage you start them at, it's the opportunity. It's getting them out of a situation sometimes that they may not be happy with. When that happens, they just open up and do a phenomenal job. They bring ideas to the table. Who knows the market better than them?
Yep.
I mean, perfect example, I'm in California. I've got, facilities in 7 states. So last night I get a call from my manager in Hilo, and she's like, Daniel, let's do this. It's in Hawaii. And she's like, Daniel, I got these flyers. What do you think? I was like, you know what? Do it. Let us vet it, take a look at it. We got to make sure the correct content going out, right? But listen, I want those ideas. It's not a dictatorship. I want to have that, everyone has a voice, everyone can talk, and we can communicate together. And even if it's not right, we can fix it and make it right,
Yeah, I wanted to just make sure we didn't gloss over that, because as soon as you said that, I was like, well, that's what I wanted to focus on.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to talk like this. I never quite know where it's going to go, but when you just said skin in the game, I knew what you were going after, and it's investing in your manager.
It is.
That makes, and you'll attest to this, that's what makes or breaks a facility.
It does.
It
does
every single time. I mean, I can have the worst site in the world, and it could be running terribly for year after year, and I put the right manager in there, and I'll wave a magic wand or something like that. All of a sudden, things are going great.
Yeah.
That's the one takeaway. I want people to look at this when they're talking about competing.
Yeah.
Marketing's huge, obviously. I mean, we could probably talk for 4 hours on marketing. I mean, it doesn't know good if you don't get the phone to ring in the first place. So
exactly.
But the manager, I want people to kind of take away from that on this question is invest in your manager. They want to be set up to succeed. And like the way you guys are bonusing off of rentals and revenue generating activities, that's what they're going to be for. They're going to want to beat the guy next door because now they're invested in it.
I got here just a quick story, but I know we've got a time crunch, but we talked a little bit about Texas and the San Antonio market, and this one to me we just did it recently, and it kind of hit near and dear because you see people grow, and that's kind of the biggest thing I think in an organization is watching people grow, helping develop them, and coaching them to the path of success. And I got a manager, never been involved in self-storage, never. And I still, to this day, interview every single employee. I really do. I whether it's a phone call or I meet them face to face, I just want to know who I'm working with. I just think that helps quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I call him. I said, listen, I got to push through some rent increases, but I wanted to give you a heads up first. And he goes, okay, well, what are you thinking? 2, 3, 4%? I said, well, I've got a pro forma, so I want to be transparent with you. And he goes, okay, fine. What are you thinking? 5, 6? I said, Well, keep in mind, we're 82% occupancy.
Okay.
Multi-level, new facility, 82%, 765 units. Okay. So normally I would wait until we get to a certain level and then start pushing. 80, mid 80s, low 80s is not the ideal, but I get it.
Yeah.
But now we're looking closer to board rate. He goes, oh. He goes, what does that equate to? It's about 22%. Anyway, yeah, relatively aggressive. I get it.
Yeah.
And so I said, but we got to talk about this. We got to walk through this together because we could have an exodus. And if we do, we got to know how to combat that. I said, so I'm really going to lean on you and your phenomenal personality, your empathy, and everything that you do to make sure that you have the ability, and I want you to have the ability to say, rather than the $20 rent increase, how about a $9? Is that fair for you? Customer says yes, go ahead. I get it. Because I don't want to lose customers, especially in a saturated market.
Sure.
I want to make it so the manager's empowered because they're still driving revenue, right?
Yep.
So month 1, January 1, 2020, income spikes 21%. Month 2, occupancy drops 4.5%. Income is still up,
Yep.
$9,000. Okay. So we're talking a couple days ago, and he goes, Daniel, so I can't believe this. I was like, yeah, you can't. I can't believe. I said, most importantly, had it been somebody else in there that may not have had the skill set, the ability to work with tenants, the caringness, the just overall amazing ability to work with tenants, that we would have lost 10, 15, 20% occupancy easily. And that's why you say the manager will make or break the facility. I'm a wholehearted believer, factual data behind that. And I would rather have the worst facility in town and the best manager than have the best facility and the worst manager.
Oh, every time.
Hands down. I don't care if it's a brand new facility and we're completely automated, not a chance. I take the manager who just is amazing. That's, that makes or breaks any storage facility, in my opinion.
Totally. Yep. Good. I'm glad we hit on that. So
yeah, man. Yeah.
I'm happy we can end on that note then. So,
cool. Sweet. All right, man.
Well, yeah. So hopefully this kind of got some people thinking a little bit. And if they want to reach out to you guys and what you guys are doing, how do they reach out to you and get a hold of you?
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate everything. And thank you very much. We'll be in touch soon.
Okay. Well, what's a good contact information for you?
Good contact. You can reach us at storagestar.com. Okay. Email address is dhiguera@follettusa.com. Please, any questions, anything you want to talk about, I'm more than happy to help. But definitely an open book when it comes to stuff. So.
Well, that's why I reached out to you. I know you're an open book, so we can do this kind of thing. People get value from it, so it's a win-win. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Thanks again. I appreciate it.
Sounds good. Take care, man.
Take care. All right. Bye.